A tax break plan was announced for companies that increase shareholder returns alongside a financial package to help vulnerable groups. These were unveiled today as part of the government's economic policy goals for the second half of the year. The police are picking up speed in their investigation of what caused the deadly car accident on Monday night in central Seoul, examining the vehicle and recorded video footage. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un visited a munitions factory after a key workers' party meeting, apparently to encourage people about the economy, which some watchers see as a link to the regime's ambition to export arms. It's July 3rd, 2024. This is Newscenter. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Jung-min. We begin with key economic policies unveiled today seeking to boost long-term growth. One of the key goals is to provide tax incentives to companies that enhance their corporate values and expand shareholder returns. Choi Min-jong reports.
South Korea has unveiled measures to foster the growth of new industries. The Finance Ministry revealed a roadmap on Wednesday that aims to incentivize companies that enhance their corporate value and increase shareholder returns. This will be done by providing a range of tax incentives and benefits. First, the government plans to reduce corporate taxes by 5% for companies that increase shareholder returns exceeding 5% over the span of 3 years. Companies can do this by increasing dividends or canceling treasury stocks. This applies to all companies regardless of size. The government will also lower income tax rates for the shareholders of companies that have high corporate value. Accordingly, if the dividend income is 12 million won, the tax burden will be reduced by 100,000 won. If the dividend income is 22 million won, the tax burden will be reduced by 200,000 won. The government is implementing the new regulations temporarily for 3 years, but they will first need to be passed by the National Assembly. Choi Min-jong, Arirang News.
For more on what was announced today, our correspondent Lee Soo-jin is joining us in the studio. Soo-jin, other than the corporate support plan that we just saw, what does the government say when it comes to its most recent projections about the economy?
In short, it's quite positive across the board. The government releases its economic policy direction based on revised economic projections for economic growth, inflation, employment, and current account balance. On Wednesday, the Finance Ministry announced its economic policy direction for the latter half of the year, where it revised its economic growth projection for 2024 from 2.2% to 2.6%. This upward revision was mostly due to a strong growth forecast for exports, thanks to an increased demand for AI as well as semiconductors. And the inflation rate is expected to ease to 2.6%. This comes as data from Statistics Korea on Tuesday showed that the country's consumer price index, a key gauge of inflation, rose by 2.4% in June compared to the same month the year before. This is the lowest figure seen in 11 months, inching closer to the target inflation at 2%. As for employment, the government projects that as the economy shows signs of recovery, it will go up by more than 60% on year. And this year, South Korea is expected to see a current account surplus of $63 billion as exports continue to recover. Let's take a listen to what the president said about this current state of the economy.
이렇게 성장률을 비롯한 거시 지표는 눈에 띄게 개선되고 있습니다만 아직 그 온기가 민생 경제의 활력으로 이어지지 않아 안타까운 마음이 있습니다. 효과가 나타나는 시차를 줄이면서 민생의 구조적, 근본적 문제를 해결해 나가야 합니다.
Well, despite the positive outlook, there are still concerns. What are other focuses?
Well, this time the focus is on vulnerable groups. The government said that while the newly revised projections for the second half are promising, vulnerable groups have yet to feel that the economy is actually getting better. Here's what the finance minister said on this.
But because the recovery speed varies across sectors due to high inflation and interest rates, small business owners still feel that the economy is struggling.
To help small business owners, the government will spend 25 trillion won, or nearly 18 billion US dollars, to provide financial support, business growth, and recovery opportunities, as well as a one-stop platform that allows them to more easily access necessary information. This includes an extension of government loan maturity, which, according to an expert, will prove to be the most helpful. Let's take a listen.
I think the most effective way is postponing interest rate payment to banks. In terms of the moral hazard problem, it is very difficult to decrease size of the money that borrowed from the banks. But instead, there is small room for banks and for medium and small-sized companies to delay their interest rate payment.
And the government plans to raise the upper annual revenue limit for businesses to receive electricity bill subsidies from around $21,000 to around $43,000. The government will also help small business owners expand digitally to accelerate their growth. By the end of this year, there will be nearly 60 traditional markets where products are also available online. As for measures to help business owners get back on their feet, it plans to offer monetary incentives each month for small business owners that were forced to close to attend reemployment programs or to start new businesses. Lastly, it plans to create a one-stop platform where small business owners can find important information regarding their finances, employment, and businesses in one place, with the finalized version to be in operation by January next year.
So, Jin, are there any measures directed towards maintaining the prices, the trend of getting prices under control?
So the government plans to remain vigilant, as you can tell by the amount it's planning to spend to stabilize prices. The support measures to get prices under control in the second half of the year amount to $4 billion. This includes implementing tariff quota rates for 51 items, such as vegetables and fruits, which will allow for lower tariff rates on imports of products within a certain quantity, as well as expanding contract farming of fruits and developing more kim farms. Here's why these continued efforts to tame inflation are necessary.
The general citizens in Korea do not feel that the economy is getting better these days because inflation is higher than that of their wage increases. But as the inflation is stabilizing by end of this year, I think Korean people will see that the economic situation gets better. The prices of the agricultural products is pretty much stabilized from last month.
So with these pan-governmental efforts, people will hopefully soon be able to feel that the economy is in fact getting better and that it's not just the data.
Okay, thanks for that, Sujin.
Thank you for having me.
Police investigation is picking up speed to see what caused the deadly car accident on Monday night in central Seoul. In the meantime, police confirmed another injured individual. Choi Soo-hyung brings us up to speed.
The police have confirmed that another person was injured in Monday's tragic car accident in central Seoul, bringing the total to 7 injured as well as the 9 people who were killed. Investigators continue to dig into the cause of the accident, with the police stating they had found skid marks where the car stopped. Also, analysis from the National Forensic Service are looking into the vehicle, footage from nearby CCTV cameras and the car's dashcam, as well as statements from witnesses. It has been reported that the van data recorder installed in the vehicle shows that the driver pressed the accelerator pedal hard just before the accident. The driver, who has more than 40 years of experience as a city bus driver, is blaming sudden unintended acceleration. The police took the driver in on charges of accidental homicide and will question him later due to injuries he himself suffered in the crash. Moreover, the police stated that the driver was negative in alcohol and all quick drug tests. They added that they are considering all possibilities, including a mistake or driver error. The car, driven by the 68-year-old man, exited the Chosun Hotel and drove in the wrong direction in a one-way street, colliding with two vehicles before plowing into a group of pedestrians waiting at the crosswalk. The accident occurred near Seoul City Hall, resulting in the death of two City Hall employees who were returning to work after dinner. 4 colleagues from a nearby bank were also killed in the accident. It was reported they were celebrating one of them having been promoted on the day. Citizens visited the scene to pay their condolences to the victims. Police have acknowledged the severity of the incident and have requested the National Forensic Service to complete their investigation as soon as possible. Hyundai, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, across the border, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un visited a munitions factory shortly after wrapping up a key Workers' Party meeting. Our North Korean affairs correspondent Kim Jong-sil explains what the visit could entail.
After wrapping up a key political meeting, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un on Tuesday visited a munitions factory and other manufacturing sites along with senior officials of the party's leadership. North Korea's state-run Korean Central News Agency reported on Wednesday that Kim visited the National Defense Industrial Enterprise and observed production lines there. The enterprise is known to produce munitions including 240mm shells for multiple launch rocket systems. Kim's visit to the weapons facility could be in line with his emphasis not only on enhancing the regime's self-defense capabilities, but also to take advantage of Russia's war with Ukraine, as Pyongyang and Moscow have been bolstering ties through arms transfers. The visit also came shortly after the 4-day meeting of the Workers' Party Central Committee, which started on Friday. There, Kim emphasized the North's accomplishments in the first half of the year, stating that the economy was in a clear upturn. An official at South Korea's Ministry of Unification said on Tuesday that what is striking from this meeting is that there was no mention of diplomatic achievements or messages to South Korea and the U.S.
It's possible the North was aware that it could be subjected to international condemnation if it puts too much emphasis on its achievements in defense and diplomacy. I think Kim's intention of only stressing economic agendas is to strengthen the regime by bringing up sectors directly linked to people's livelihoods.
The Unification Ministry official also said the regime may hold a standing committee ahead of the Supreme People's Assembly and discuss constitutional amendments.
It's highly possible that North Korea would strike out the phrase in its Constitution Article 9 that says the North would strive to reunify the country on the principle of independence, peaceful reunification, and great national unity.
The Unification Ministry official said the government will keep a close eye on what direction the regime is taking. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
Over in the U.S., a Texas congressman has become the first lawmaker within the Democratic Party to openly call on President Biden to surrender his bid for re-election following the debate fallout. Lee Seung-jae has more.
For the first time, a House Democrat has publicly called for U.S. President Joe Biden to step down as the party's candidate for the upcoming November presidential election. According to Democrat House Representative Lloyd Doggett of Texas on Tuesday, Biden should make the painful and difficult decision to withdraw, citing the president's poor performance during last week's televised debate with former President Donald Trump. However, Doggett stressed that his remarks do not in any way diminish his respect for Biden's achievements, adding that the incumbent president has always prioritized his country, unlike his opponent. While a number of Democrats have voiced concerns for Biden's bid for a second term behind closed doors, Doggett is the first to openly express his concerns and opposition. Responding to these concerns, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said Tuesday that the top office respects the opinions and thoughts of concerned party members. Amid rumors that Biden could potentially be replaced, a survey was conducted by CNN on 1,274 people from June 28th to 30th, shortly after the presidential debate. The survey asked participants who would win in a hypothetical matchup if Biden was to drop out of the race. Most hypothetical Democrat presidential candidates had less support than Trump. including Vice President Kamala Harris and California Governor Gavin Newsom. However, when asked who would win in the November presidential election between former First Lady Michelle Obama and Trump, 50% of respondents chose the former First Lady, compared to Trump, who had 39% support. Meanwhile, in the same survey, 49% said they would vote for Trump, compared to 43% who showed support for Biden. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
A shocking crowd disaster in India at a religious event leads to more than 100 losses of lives, mostly women and children. Park Gun-woo covers the tragic event.
A crowd crush at a Hindu religious gathering in India killed more than 100 and injured scores more, according to local police and administration officials on Tuesday local time. Most of the victims of the crush in India's northern state of Uttar Pradesh are said to be women and children.
I came to attend the event with 8 other people, but no one survived. I do not know there was a sudden commotion. I did not even realize what happened.
Though the cause of the incident is yet unclear, local news reports citing authorities said heat and suffocation in a makeshift tent at the site could have been a factor. Local police also pointed to overcrowding as a possible factor, as there were around 15,000 people at the site, which was 3 times more than the host had originally permitted. Police Inspector General Shalab Mathur said a high-level inquiry has been launched to investigate the circumstances surrounding the incident. Also on Tuesday, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed his condolences for the victims.
I express my condolences to the families of those who lost their lives in the tragic incident. I wish a speedy recovery to all the injured. The administration, under the supervision of the state government, is carrying out rescue and relief operations. Senior officials of the central government are in continuous communication with the state government of Uttar Pradesh.
This was not the first such incident to happen in India, as crowd crushes at religious events in 2011 and 2013 led to over 100 deaths. Park Gun-woo, Arirang News.
In other news, Korea's foreign exchange reserves shrank in June for the 3rd month in a row. According to the Bank of Korea on Wednesday, the reserves stood at over $412 billion at the end of June, down over $600 million on month. The drop is being linked to the repayment of foreign exchange stabilization bonds and the BOK's foreign currency swap with the country's pension fund. As of the end of May, South Korea is the world's 9th largest holder of foreign reserves. Hyundai Motor set a new company sales record in the United States in the first half of this year. The company on Wednesday said that it sold a total of more than 431,000 vehicles during the first 6 months, including its luxury brand Genesis. This is the 1.3% increase on year. Furthermore, both Hyundai Motor and its sister company Kia set new highs in the number of eco-friendly vehicles sold for any half-year period. They sold more than 155,700 electric and hybrid models in the U.S., which is a 17% increase on year. Korean instant noodles or ramyeon are becoming more popular around the world through viral marketing on social media and the launch of new products. The Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs also announced on Wednesday that exports of Korean instant noodles came to almost $600 million in the first half of the year. It's around a 32% increase compared to the same period last year. The biggest overseas markets are China and the United States, surpassing $100 million each in exports last month. On the cultural front, the Korea Heritage Service says that Goryeong in Gyeongsang-buk-do province has been designated as an ancient city. Goryeong is an area with key historical links to the Great Gaya Confederacy. And since ancient cities hold historical significance when it comes to politics and culture, once designated, they are expected to help bring improvements to the local area. Goryeong will become the country's 5th official ancient city, along with Gyeongju, Buyeol, Gongju, and Iksan. It was also declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site last year. There is a new agriculture technology that allows the growing and harvesting of strawberries even in the midsummer and lowers greenhouse operational costs. Cha Yoon-kyung explains what that is.
This is a strawberry farm in Pyeongtaek, Gyeonggi-do Province. Farmers usually finish harvesting strawberries at the end of May. However, a strawberry harvest is in full swing here in June. The secret is a water-cooled air conditioning and heating system, which makes it possible to extend the harvest season for strawberries by using awning screens and sprinklers after setting up a water-cooled air conditioning and heating system.
The heat island effect happens in the house. Hot air cannot move to where cold air collects, but the cold air rises as it gets hotter.
Another benefit is that farmers can save on the huge costs of using standard air conditioning and heating. This new system utilizes underground water, which is always around 15 degrees Celsius. Therefore, this new technology is much cheaper than the existing one, which uses air or geothermal heat as a heat source.
Underground water is efficient with its year-round temperature, making huge amount of deviation both in summer and in winter. But temperature goes up to 35 degrees in summer. It makes 20 degrees of deviation.
According to the research of Korea Agriculture Technology Promotion Agency, the savings on costs are between 70% to 90% compared to the standard system. Harvesting strawberries until July using the water-cooled air conditioning system is now possible. Farmers can set up the water-cooled air conditioning facility as long as they can drill for underground water.
The biggest problem for farmers in Korea is the high cost of air conditioning and heating in their greenhouses. We look for companies that have the technology and products which can cut costs dramatically and support them.
The water-cooled air conditioning and heating system was developed 4 years ago, and about 600 have been set up around 70 cities and counties nationwide. The number of farms using the system is expected to rise in the future because of the dramatic cost saving. Cha Yoon-kyung, Arirang News.
Heavy rain across the country from yesterday has almost stopped today. After the rain, the daytime heat became severe in the southern parts of the country. In particular, the daytime temperature exceeded 30 degrees Celsius, with a heat wave warning issued in the south. It will rain all over the country again from tomorrow night. The amount of rain is the highest in the Chungcheong-do provinces. Heavy rain of up to 150 millimeters will fall in Chungcheong-namdo province by Friday, and more than 120 in the Chungcheongbuk-do and Jeollabuk-do provinces. More than 100 millimeters is expected in the southern Gyeonggi-do province. Please be prepared. Tomorrow, Seoul will start off at 22, Daejeon, Gwangju, Daegu, and Busan 23 degrees. Highs will be topping out at 28 in Seoul and Chuncheon, Gyeongju 34 degrees. There will be many rainy days this weekend and next week. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session up next.